Hey, we're back with another Solforge draft video. So we've got a couple options in this pack. Lifeblood Dryad I've been a little bit underwhelmed with. It's okay, but it's not as good as I thought it would be. I had underestimated how small the level 3 body is. And of course, plus 6 attack is huge. It just requires a very, very specific deck. I like Lifeblood Dryad, but I prefer to already be kind of leaning towards that deck or being open to that deck rather than just trying to force it from the start. So that leaves us with I don't think these two spells are really good enough to be worth it. So we've got Flesh Fiend, Justicar, Battle Droid in reverse order. Battle Droid is okay. However, it dies almost incidentally against Nekrium. Nekrium has a lot of effects that shrink creatures and sometimes also get other value. So that's not necessarily the best. It's fine against other things. It can be a bit difficult to deal with. However, I a lot of times just wish I didn't have it against Nekrium. So that's at least a concern. Justicar is fine. It's a very solid body that is kind of a hate bear. It kind of has an ability that is very specifically good against one or two archetypes. And last is my good old friend, Flesh Friend. Flesh Fiend is just a very, very solid body that is one of the hardest creatures to remove in the game. I think I'm going to take this just because it feels like the best creature here for draft. Battle Droid and Justicar are both fine. Battle Droid has a bit better body than Justicar. Justicar can have a very useful ability. It's worth noting that I prefer being an Alloyin. So that does give a point in favor for these two, but I think that Flesh Fiend is nice enough to be worth keeping. Okay, so we could go into Alloyin. I'm not the hugest fan of Vanguard. If I went into Alloyin here, it would partially just be to be an Alloyin. Lightning Spark is a reasonable removal card for Tempest. However, I feel like Graveborn Glutton is a very solid card. I feel like it often just works as a Lightning Spark as far as being able to throw in front of something. So it's a very good blocker. It levels pretty well, and it gets in a lot of incidental damage. It's all in all a very solid draft card. So I'm going to go ahead and stay open as far as what my next color will be. Okay. This is an interesting choice. Grave Pact is fine. A lot of times Nekrium will have extra bodies that they can throw at their opponent's creatures. Deep Range Prowler is an okay card. It's a good blocker late game. I was watching a video recently in which Kit was talking about his rule of 6, in which you want at least six power creatures in your deck by the end of the draft. And that makes a lot of good sense, because again, you want the big bodies so that you can block even if they're still level 1s. So it's a question. However, Metamind Adept is a creature that I also do like. It's not amazing, but it's fine. So that would let us force Alloyin if we want to. I think I'm going to take the Grave Pact. It stays open. It's reasonable removal, although it is level gated. And we tend to get enough mediocre creatures with Nekrium that I think it will be okay. Okay, after taking that, I would have been a little happier to go Uterin than I had previously, just because Uterin works well with Grave Pact as well. However, Nether Embrace is bad. Primordial Slam is okay. But Vault Technician is the best card in the pack, and like I've said, Alloyin is my favorite to take in draft in general, so I'm going to go ahead and take it here. Okay, how's the body on this? Mediocre, but better than Gloom Reaper Witch. So, okay. Call the Weak is okay. Pulse Mage is similarly okay. Corpse Crawler can be good if we have more of the throwaway creatures, which we don't have a ton of, and it's less good in Alloyin, because Alloyin doesn't have many creatures besides like Technosmith that they're willing to just lose. However, Scythian Infiltrator is a very solid card. So, alright. Vault Technician is a good card that levels well. 12-9, 11-8. However, Graveborn Glutton levels very similarly, and I like that extra bit of damage. I think it's just enough to be worth it. Especially, the more Graveborn Gluttons you get, kind of the better it is, just because you get the incidental damage adds up. Okay, Vault Technician and Bone Scythe Reader are the two cards that I'm looking at here. Again, Vault Technician is another card that's just solid. We're already getting all of our 6-power creatures out of the way, so that's definitely a very nice situation. Bone Scythe Reaver is nice at level 2 if you leveled it at level 1, or at player rank 1, because at that point it's pretty much a reasonable removal spell. However, that requires more to get working. I think I'd rather just have the good creature. Fellwalker is good with Grave Pact. Sparkbot is okay. And Light Shield Patrol is a just a reasonable creature. Light Shield Patrol is definitely better if we get things that buff your attack, but it's likely that we will. I think that this is enough better of a creature that I'm just going to go ahead and take it. Sparkblade Assassin is fine. Okay. So either I can take another Grave Pact and really push hard for creatures that I can sacrifice. Marrow Fiend would be okay. It's another high power blocker for later, but we already have, what, 4 or 5 of them? I think that we've got that throwaway creature role kind of filled. I do like Charnel Titan. Charnel Titan is extra good with things like Banshee that shrink opponents, but it's a reasonable creature because it comes up often enough. Okay, Augmentation's fine. Tech Upgrade's pretty good. Sparkblade Assassin is a reasonable creature at level 2. It's actually very good at level 2. We look like we might actually be able to be fairly aggressive. That's something worth keeping in mind. And Jetpack is pretty nice. Jetpack is good at getting an extra damage. It combos with Light Shield Patrol. I think that this kind of hedges and lets us be aggressive or just manipulate trades in our favor and stuff, so I think that that's fine. Zombie Infantry is another decent creature. Again, I could take a Death Seeker for Grave Pact, but again, it's just enough worse of a creature that I'm going to keep taking strong, fairly aggressive creatures and see where this goes. Vengeful Spirit would be fine, but Vault Technician is just a good, solid creature. Okay, here I will take Vengeful Sphere as a removal spell, more or less. Speaking of removal, that's something that we don't have a ton of. Nexus Pilot would be okay. Grimgaunt Predator would be fine. Predator would obviously be better if we had more removal spells so that I could trigger him more. Ghastly Touch is a decent removal spell. This is actually pretty close. Those three are all pretty good, especially because I don't have much removal. Nexus Pilot is just very strong. A 6/8 is very good. However, I think here I'm going to take Predator. It's a 5-power creature with mobility, which is pretty good, especially since we're trying to do kind of aggressive. Technosmith would be good, but we haven't gotten a lot of the Forge Sentry kind of late-game creatures. So here I think it is actually back between the Ghastly Touch and the Nexus Pilot that we were looking at before. Here I think I'll take the Nexus Pilot. We could really go for the hardcore Nekrium Alloyin mobility deck, if that's a thing. Actually, I will go ahead and take the Jetpack. We've got a ton of pretty So what I think, and this also works well with the not a succubus, whatever the creature, the banshee that shrinks creatures when it comes into play or is moved. So that can be a combo. I'll keep an eye out for a banshee if I get a chance. Witch is only mediocre. However, I don't have much that I want to sacrifice a corpse crawler, so I'm going to take witch. Similarly, I don't like Grave Pact as much as Vengeful Spear, which is maybe a slightly more conditional removal spell, but okay. Forge Plate Sentry, again, one of my favorite cards in Limited, levels up to just a really hard creature to deal with. However, Ionic War Charger does 2 to a slightly less good creature, maybe, but it is a more aggressive creature at all levels, so I think that this is probably the pick here. I would take any number of War Chargers. Infiltrator is good. Having double Infiltrator in a pretty aggressive deck with Jetpack is pretty nice. I don't normally do this aggressive of a deck, but it looks interesting. So is Sparkbot good enough of a creature to take over the Death Seeker? I think I'm going to take the Death Seeker here. We do want things to power Grave Pact. Obviously, we only have one Grave Pact, so odds are against us getting both. But it's also good to just throw in front of something and block. We have a lot of very, very similar bodies to Vault Technician, including triple Vault Technician. But between that and the Graveborn Gluttons, that's a lot of overlap. I think Sparkblade Assassin here is actually better because it's very good at level 2. Spectre would also be a consideration because it's similarly good at level 2. But I think Sparkblade Assassin is good enough to not worry about. Force Field is a card I don't like playing, unsurprisingly. However, it can sometimes manipulate a trade in your favor, so there are times where I'll play it if I have it in my hand. Okay, I think that we don't have enough Alloyin for Steelforged Avatar. I think Blightwalker is the best creature, but it's kind of contrary to our current aggressive plan. The most aggressive creature is either Light Shield Patrol or Charnel Titan. Probably Light Shield Patrol because we're more likely to be able to activate it. Is it worth taking the Blightwalker just to have a good, strong creature? I think since our deck is looking pretty aggressive, I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. Okay. Now we finally get to take a removal spell. I'm going to take Ghastly Touch just because it's not level gated, so I don't have to play at every level. It doesn't have to be improved like Contagion Surge. And it's less conditional than Call the Weak. So I think it's just a good, strong pick here. Okay, we've got 2 Gluttons. We have 1 Titan. So this would be our 4th Abomination. Metasight is really slow, especially since we're trying to make a fairly aggressive deck. How does Frankenmount level? Only okay. I think I'll take it, though. Okay, so Artillery is good with some of our aggressive cards, and just to increase the amount of damage we've got, it's good with Infiltrator and with Light Shield Patrol. And some to a degree with our mobility creatures. However, we've got double Jetpack. I think I'd like to have a Banshee just because that's cute. It's not necessarily the best pick, but it's fun. 9/11 versus 8/11. I think I'm going to take the Zithian Hulk. It's slightly less good and aggressive, but just the slight synergy with Dr. Frankenbaum makes it fun. Those 2 cards were similar enough that I don't think that the difference really matters here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and play the first round.